Following that track record, Sharlayan is next. We're all sharing our accounts of what's going on. We're all back together! Not that I'm complaining, Riange, but I wasn't expecting to see you quite so soon. Nor I thee. In extolling the virtues of Aetheris, I did invariably awaken in the Loporits a desire to avert our beloved star's demise. Kyle tells us you have obtained new knowledge that may aid us in our ongoing efforts. I've news to share regarding our study of the Ethereal Sea, but your findings are certain to be of greater interest, and so I'd rather hear them first. To what revelations did Heidelin's Elpis flower lead? Oh, goodness. Where to even begin? Do we get options? No. Okay, so I traveled back in time and was participatory in the beginning of the first final days. And Heidelin has known everything since the very beginning because Vana is awesome. And there's definitely going to be lots of fan art about her. And, oh, there's also Dynamis, crazy birds in the edges of the universe. And Hermes was a cool dude before he valued his pet project more than the lives of everyone else, so. Then this Dynamis is what drives the final days. If it and Akasa are one and the same, this all but proves Nidhana's theory. Were an entity, through sheer force of emotion, to channel this vast, dormant reservoir into a raging river, its power might surpass even that of ether. But if our star is so replete with ether, said entity would need to be outside its influence to effectively manipulate the dynamis of the great expanse. Meteon, or rather, the sorrow and suffering of fallen civilizations that she has been hoarding for millennia. Untold anguish and fear and hatred drawn from every corner of the universe, all for a single purpose, the destruction of Aetheris. And with it, all the reflections. Then our foe is no longer some unknown calamity. We have but one aim, to defeat Meteon. Make it sound so simple, but you're not wrong. Vanquish Meteon and we deliver the world from the final days. But to even attempt it, there are two conditions. First, we must determine her location. Before Meteon escaped, an enchantment was placed on her by Vana, the woman who would eventually become Heidelin. The implications of temporal magics are not entirely understood, and so we cannot assume that our Heidelin and Vana you met in Elpis are one and the same. Nevertheless, due to her intrinsic qualities as an all-powerful being, I'd wager that Heidelin possesses the knowledge we seek. Whether she would share that knowledge with us, however, remains to be seen. After all, she intends for us to flee Aetheris, not to stay. Is that the sixth zone? The Ethereal Sea? Do you suppose she has abandoned her pursuit of Meteon? The Vana I know would never give up. No, but Meteon is still out there. Yeah, the Vana I know would never give up. Even though things have changed. That's my impression too. Otherwise, she wouldn't have used me as a conduit for her will, or provided clues such as the Elpis flower. I believe she has been waiting for mankind's answer to Hermes' question. So, what's the second condition? We have to actually get there. We must find a means to reach Meteon. Naturally, our chosen method would depend entirely upon wheresoever she has made her nest. Well, I think if we call in Omega as an ally and say, yo, can we just jump in your ship and fly out in space through, with Omega, and then you can take us to her? We could be there in a jiffy. We could hang out with Alpha and Omega. It'd be great. Then communing with Heidelin must by necessity come first. Did you and Master Matoya have any luck with your investigation into the Ethereal Sea? Sadly not. Though we enlisted the help of Arenfold and other Echo-based allies, we couldn't detect so much as a whisper from Heidelin, even from within the Antitower. Master Matoli is of the opinion that in the years since abandoning it, the Forum has found some other method of receiving instructions from Heidelin. If so, it would most likely be some form of apparatus for observing the ethereal sea, built closer to home. Oh, somebody knocked on the door. Sorry to interrupt. We've just received word from the Forum. Your presence is required in the rostra, where they intend to discuss the Great Exodus. No better time to go than the present. Then Father was able to persuade them. They're finally taking us seriously. Let's hear what they have to say. Gotta get them chocobos. Chocolegs. 'Twas Heidelin's commandment that in the event Zodiark should perish, the Loporits were to deliver the people of Aetheris from harm. Though that be the limit of their duties, they possess knowledge unparalleled of the great expanse and the means of its traversal. Should they be persuaded to assist in our efforts to reach Meteion, we would do well to heed their counsel. Oh, whoa, wait a minute. I suppose we could just take the moon, right? They know how to travel space, and we have a spaceship. But if we take the moon, then we're putting everyone here in jeopardy, either because we take everyone here and leave the planet to its demise, but if Meteion was to destroy the moon, then everyone would die in it. Or if we took it by ourselves, then we wouldn't have anyone, any escape vessel for everyone else. At first, I wasn't sure what to make of Hermes and his motives. But it's like we discussed at the Great Work. When faced with the harsh realities of life, some seek the release of death. Others grow defiant. They fight. Either way, it is our right to choose. I think that's maybe the correct answer to Hermes' question, is that we choose to live. Well, that was a much quicker response than I was expecting. Nice to know our efforts in the Magna Glaciers didn't go unnoticed. Father has granted us the opportunity we've been waiting for. Though we know not what information, if any, they intend to reveal, there's only one way to find out. To the rostra! In a moment. I hope you don't mind me staying behind while you attend your big meeting. The rostra reminds me a bit too much of the supremely sacred tribunal in Ishgard. You'll forgive me if I keep my distance. Oh man, that's a call back to Heaven's Word when Tataru and Alphinaud were in the tribunal, right? And we had to help fight and save them from combat. After you left for Garlemald, I went to Labyrinthos and tried to reach Heidelin using the Elpis flowers. Alas, my attempts were in vain. I can only assume that she spent a vast amount of her power in the confrontation with Fandaniel and is presently unable to communicate. Indeed, her presence left my body. As her presence left my body, I could feel how faint it had grown. Master Matoya has suspected for some time that the Forum has been constructing a new facility for the purpose of surveying the ethereal sea. Of course, as the custodian of the Antitower, which would presumably be rendered obsolete as a result, she had a few things to say about that. Nothing that should be repeated in polite company, you understand? After sending Graha and Astinian back to Garlemald, I stayed in Locus Ammonius for a time. Being an imperial province, it was already in turmoil before the onset of the final days. You wouldn't believe the difficulties we had overseeing the evacuation of the villages we visited. I had faith the detachment we left behind will continue our work and shepherd the people to safety. To what safety can be found in a world coming to an end situation. To think the crystal tower of the First is capable of such feats as sending one's soul into the distant past. The events you witnessed and helped shape may yet hold the key to forestalling the final days. I'm reminded of dear friends in a future I unmade, whose selfless efforts I saw the Eighth Umbra calamity averted. In this timeline, at least, too much has been sacrificed for us to abandon Aetheris now. I mean, you gotta feel a little bit sad, because for him, he's lived almost like 3 lifetimes, right? Normal lifetime, then waking up in the future lifetime, then back in the, first lifetime, and now he's here. He's been all over the place. This guy's crazy, but awesome. We love Graha. He best boy. One of the favorite Scions for sure. Alright, to the rostra we go. Rostra Steward. The forum is in session. No, it isn't. I literally just checked. It's definitely not in session. And as such, the rostra is closed to visitors. Yeah, we're supposed to actually be the visitors. Scion of the 7th Dawn? Very well, you may wait in the corridor. Of course, entry will only be permitted on the condition you leave your armaments at the door. Lest you forget, the sacred institution holds rational discourse in the highest. The implements of war are expressly forbidden. Oh man. Tell me we gotta give up our gear? But then we're not gonna look nearly as cool. Do 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 do. So we gotta walk all the way around to the other side. I'm just saying, this is definitely not in session, alright? Definitely not in session. White Sea. Samurai. Man, the forum's making us wait around for a while. Just chilling. Alright. Thank you, forum, for meeting on our behalf. Sharlayan, I've come to bargain. Don't make me rewind time. I've done it before. Technically, Alexander's done it before, but, you know.
There is a matter I wish to raise with you before we enter. We are here to listen and to learn. But if the forum's plans are more or less what I expect, then I should like to make a proposal that will serve our ends.
Oh?
By your leave, of course.
Oh! If they are making a spaceship to go to the moon, after delivering the people on the moon, maybe we can take their spaceship to go visit Medion, hang out, have tea, you know, catch up. It's been a couple millennia, you know? It's a space race.
I don't see why not. Your words and wits have gotten us this far. Agreed. I will present our queries so that you may consider the most advantageous way to advance your proposal without distraction.
Thank you, everyone.
If I may have your attention, the ad hoc session will now commence. The purpose of today's assembly is to brief the Scions of the 7th Dawn at their request on the Great Exodus.
I love that even in here, the Viera don't have hats. Everyone has hats except the Viera. And important people.
You may enter.
It must be that Viera are just important by nature because they don't have hats. All Viera are important. The 9 Scions of the 7th Dawn.
On behalf of the Forum, I commend your heroic actions on the Magna Glacies. We shall not soon forget your service to us and the people of Radzat-Han. The Satrap, whom we have informed of the refugees' new arrangements, sings your praises as well. As an expression of our gratitude, we will endeavor to answer your questions as fully and openly as we are able.
Then let us begin.
Where have you hidden the tacos?
First, it is the Forum's objective to ferry the life and knowledge of this star to the moon. Am I correct?
You are. It is for this purpose Sharlayan has labored these many long years. We have collected biological samples and scientific records from across the star. When the time comes, they will be moved from their places in Labyrinthos and Numenon and conveyed to safety. Once that critical task has been accomplished, we will begin transporting the Sharlayan citizenry, which has been categorized into groups. The earliest arrivals are to ensure hospitable environs for those who come after.
Interesting, they're starting with the knowledge first, then gonna take the people.
Following our people, we will send those of other nations in turn, beginning with our allies. FFXIV was foremost among these, but since the final days have already come to Thavnair, we saw fit to include the refugees with earlier groupings.
An ambitious plan. You have accounted for the safety of all nations and tribes, then?
As many as we can.
Yeah, that's what I say. As best as we can, which we not gonna be everybody,
And
so.
how, pray tell, do you decide who to leave behind?
To journey beyond the sky is an unprecedented and immeasurably difficult endeavor. Introducing sources of inevitable conflict would condemn all to certain death.
Introducing sources of inevitable conflict. Basically, people fighting over getting on the ship.
Questions as to the validity of that approach aside,
Yeah, I missed the
our plans
point of his
proceeding
approach.
apace, we're under the impression that your primary means of celestial transportation is incomplete.
Oh, beast tribes. Answer is no.
If only in that it does not meet our optimal parameters, that is correct.
Oh. If only in that it does not meet our optimal parameters. It's correct.
This Ark, as some have taken to calling it, is fully operational and could be launched even today.
I see. But it's not running at the standards that they want it to run at.
However, the final days have progressed more quickly than we anticipated. At present, the ship is incapable of attaining speeds sufficient to meet our evacuation targets. Should we put the vessel into service, as it is now, we will be unable to travel to the moon and back quickly enough to complete the necessary number of trips. Precious lives and knowledge will be lost.
Seven hells. Is there anything to be done?
The ether burner, the primary means of propulsion once the craft is in the space between stars, is undergoing testing to determine whether it can be made more efficient. Though cargo is being loaded for the initial phase of the Exodus, we are prepared to continue our experimentation up to the day before launch, should it prove necessary.
I mean, Tataru built a literal airship, so we need to get her in here, and she can tell them how to build this ship, too. She's a literal genius when it comes to building stuff. And she can make it look nice, too.
Solve your problem. We shall help devise a means to improve the ether burner's efficiency, on two conditions. If we succeed, you must allow us to meet with Hydaelyn.
So, to talk with the
Simple
Ethereal
enough
Sea?
to deduce. You have a Concord, and so you would never have abandoned the anti-tower had you no other means of communication. One far more convenient, I suspect.
The second condition, also to be met upon our success, is that we be permitted to propose another use for your Ark.
Borrowing the spaceship. We're going to take it for a quick joyride.
Be at liberty to refuse this proposal.
Of course. If we cannot prove its merit to the 99 here, who are we to stake on it the lives of all peoples of this star?
Delightful as always, Master Alphinaud. Oh, we couldn't have asked for a finer plan. Allow us to solve this complex engineering problem of which we were entirely unaware until moments ago. What could possibly go wrong? The satire writes itself.
Rude. But I don't think he's trying to be rude.
Yes, what field has not benefited from a change in perspective? When we are at wit's end, what we need is not the same dry theories recited ad nauseam, but fresh inspiration.
I'm in favor.
I, for one, have faith in my erstwhile students to provide it, and I find their terms to be perfectly acceptable.
Order! Order! We have no time to waste on debate. I call a vote.
Oh, just going straight to vote.
All in favor of agreeing to the Scions' terms?
In agreement. We'll just call up our free company and have them tell us how to do this burner thing. It's hard to tell just from a quick glance how many people have raised their hand. Does seem like quite a lot. Oh, he's gonna join in too.
71 in favor, 28 against. The ayes have it.
The eyes. The eyes know.
As the architect of this project, you are the best candidate to show them its current state. And bear in mind that regardless of your personal misgivings, this is the will of the Forum.
Bend the knee to the will of the people.
Very well.
I call this session to a close. Return to your tasks with urgency. The final days wait for none.
Back to it. I know, Dearest Daddy's never gonna vote for his kids, though. Mostly I think it's because he's like, I don't want to be shown up by my kids figuring out this problem that we've been stuck on for the past, decade. So, look at this busyness here. There's so many people. Quite the party. Quick, drop the disco lights. We could have a dance party in the middle. You think he would have voted if it was a tiebreaker? Voted for or against them? You think he would have voted for them? I don't know. I think, like, as their dad, he kind of feels like he has to push them. And so he's already automatically kind of semi-anti them just to shove them to work harder. My affinity for espionage may have earned me the title of Archon, but I was completely unaware of the Forum's plans. There may have been clues here and there, had I been of a mind to look for them, but contemplating that possibility only serves to further wound my pride. Not that anyone could have realistically surmised that their brilliant stratagem was to build a giant ship, fly to the moon, a still larger vessel in truth, and use that to travel to another star. Even now, the whole idea seems positively absurd when spoken aloud. And how would you have suspected that? I certainly wouldn't have. Of late, I have seen no sign of the Loperids. This being the first opportunity to experience the wonders of Sharlayan, the potential for misadventure is nigh infinite. Actually, I'm surprised that they weren't here. Weren't they supposed to, like, speak into the plans and ideas of the shipbuilding? I guess the Forum wanted to meet with us, not necessarily the Loperids, but I would have thought the Loperids would have been in the meeting. Perhaps if Midgar Sormer were still alive, in the traditional sense that is, he could have offered to help the vessel attain the necessary speeds. Then again, there is no guarantee his contribution would make enough of a difference to matter. I think Midgar Sormer would have helped us out for sure, or at least tried to. The further we pursue the mysteries of the universe, the more I struggle to comprehend the fortuitous nature of time itself. We measure and quantify it based on observations of celestial bodies, such as the sun and moon. But from your account, it is unclear whether the ancients viewed time in a similar manner. I mention this because while Vanna knew the final days would reoccur at a defined point in the future, she presumably had no way of knowing exactly when. Even so, the completion of the Forum's preparations to escape to the moon, aligning so closely with the advent of the final days, is surely no coincidence. Or a very strong strand of luck. Wait, this is a different anima. Maybe I'm thinking of the anima, the creature that we fought at the top of the tower? Anima? Oh wait, Orwin's here! Oh, there he is in his shiny white armor. I just realized that was Orwin's minion. I was like, wait, what? I'm a little vexed that we've yet to learn the form's replacement for the anti-tower, though I expect that in time they'll share that too with us, and with Master Matoya if they've any sense. Oh, Portiono's still here. Rest assured, I have every intention of honoring the forum's decision, even if I didn't vote with them. While I very much take issue with the forum's approach to selecting whom to save and when, they're not wrong for wanting to minimize potential conflicts. Fortunately, if this plan of ours actually works, the Great Exodus itself will become entirely unnecessary. If we can even get the ship. Phew. I'll admit, bringing up the issue with the forum's incomplete arc was more than a little daunting. They were, to their credit, quite open about the current state of affairs. What was even more surprising, though, was when they took Alphinaud up on his offer. I think that's their only way out of here, though. Sorry for not letting the rest of you in on my plan. I was admittedly thinking on my feet for the most part, but since we require both a means of communicating with Hydaelyn and reaching Meteion, in the spur of the moment, I saw involving ourselves with the completion of the arc as a way to work towards both objectives simultaneously. However, we must first keep our end of the bargain by solving the problem of the ether burner. I'd like to think it is not a challenge beyond our combined expertise. Where is Sid? We need Sid on this stat. Or at least the expertise of our extended circle of associates. But it might behoove us to learn how an ether burner actually works before we attempt to improve it, though. That's what I'm saying. We need Sid here. He would know how to fix that thing up real fast.